Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Hiking Journal, my solo hike up to the top of Monument Peak, Foster's Point, and the Big Laguna Trail. Now, a while back, I took a trip up to the Laguna Mountains Recreation Area, and I spent a wonderful night at the Laguna Campground to test out my new shelter system. In the morning, after a big breakfast, I drove along Sunrise Highway and took in some amazing views out over the Anza-Borrego Desert from the Pacific Crest Trail by Kauai Point. Right then and there, I thought to myself, I got to come back up here and do some hikes in this beautiful region of the Cleveland National Forest. Now, just a few weeks ago, my wife and I stayed at a terrific bed and breakfast called the Orchard Cottage Inn in nearby Julian for her birthday. And I took some time and drove her out to see Kauai Point and those outstanding views of Cuyamaca Lake. From there, we could see Monument Peak's radio antennas jutting out above the horizon, and I thought, I bet that desert view is even better from up there. Now my wheels were spinning. I gotta find a short hike to do up here, maybe a loop hike when I come back. Now, looking at the All Trails hike for the Laguna Mountain Recreation Area, I noticed most of the hikes only included hikes on the west side of Sunrise Highway, centered on the Laguna Lakes, both the large one and the small one, and they focused mainly on the beautiful meadow near the campground. Now, while these did look enticing, what I really wanted to do was take a trip up to the top of Monument Peak, maybe see some distant views of the now closed Mount Laguna Air Force Station on nearby Stevenson Peak, and a side trip up to Foster Point, and those two scenic lakes in the meadow. Well, maybe I'll have to make up my own loop. Now, that's the great part about having a computer-based mapping software program, where I can pull up topographic maps, draw in my own route, and not only upload it to my Garmin inReach, but also print it out on the map and take it with me. Later, I found this alternate loop on All Trails. Kind of got a long name. No wonder it didn't pull up on the search. But I found it accidentally while scrolling through the nearby trails section. This one was called the Monument Peak via Big Laguna, PCT, and Laguna Campground Loop. Hey, this looks like the one I just made up. Now, since this one already had GPS tracks laid out, I simply downloaded it to my computer, and then I re-uploaded it to my inReach. I was also able to download the map for off-trail use on my phone, and that turned out to be a real lifesaver. Now keep that in mind for later on in this adventure. The only real downside about this adventure, well, to start with at least, was the drive. Now, there's no real way to get around it. It's 71 miles and about 1 hour and 40 minutes from the house. That means it's an early start and a long drive just to get to the trailhead. But like they say, nothing worth doing comes easy, so off I went. East on Highway 79 past Warner Springs, south past the turnoff for Anza-Borrego, past the Santa Isabel Preserve, cruised right by the Julian Pie Company and Dudley's Bakery on my way through that turnoff for Vulcan Mountain. Well, I'm not done yet. Right through Main Street in Julian till I finally reached the Y-split for Cuyamaca Lake to the right and Sunrise Highway to the left. Here was a scenic viewpoint of Lake Cuyamaca, filled higher than I'd ever seen it before. I pulled over onto a shallow dirt shoulder and I took some pictures. Now, this time of year, hikers converge on southeastern San Diego County near Campo to start their 2,650-mile journey north on the Pacific Crest Trail toward Canada. Usually, they start in mid-March, so as to avoid the heat in the lower desert sections, and they cruise right through the Laguna Mountains by early April. Now, this year, due to all the snow in the San Jacintos and even further up in the Sierras, a lot of folks decided to start just a tad bit later. On my hike today, I ran into quite a few thru hikers, and I have to admit, everybody was friendly, and they didn't hesitate to stop and chat with me, even though I interrupted their pace for the day. I even got a few high fives and a fist bump or two. Well, maybe they were just a little confused that I was a thru hiker maybe, or maybe it was just my kilt that attracted all the attention. Either way, it made for a pleasant hike. Well, at least it started off that way. Well, hello and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. Today we're taking a drive out to way inland San Diego County, and we're heading out to the Laguna Mountain Recreation Area. Now, this area is kind of special to me because on the right side, on the west side of the highway, which is Sunrise Highway, it's the Cleveland National Forest. And on the left side of the highway, on the east, is Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. And I think technically while we're on the road, we're probably actually in Anza-Borrego Desert State Park according to the signs. But the reason we're out here today is we're going to do the big Laguna Trail. And our first part, it's about an 8.5 mile loop, but our first part of the trail is, some of the great views here. The first part of the trail is going to be due east on the big Laguna Trail where it runs into the PCT, going northbound. And we're going to hit up to Monument Peak. And Monument Peak's special because it's right on the precipice of the cliff that drops down into Anza-Borrego. So we got to have some great views to the east overlooking Anza-Borrego. And there's a bunch of antennas up there and repeaters and microwave towers and stuff like that. So we'll go get a chance to see that up close. And then we're going to be hiking a little bit on the northbound PCT for a short distance. We'll continue to take in those views. And we're going to go to Foster's Point. And Foster's Point is kind of a little promontory point on the edge of the cliff. That's going to be pretty special too. That's going to have some great views. And then we're going to work our way back. We're going to double back down to the PCT and take that continuing northbound. And then we're going to loop back around down to Sunrise Highway, which is the road I'm on now. And then once we get to Sunrise Highway, we're going to cross the street and we're going to go to the Laguna campground and go around the group campground and work our way over to the Little Laguna Lake and then eventually the Big Laguna Lake and complete our hike as we passed Waco's Road and dump back out at the Big Laguna Trailhead again back on Sunrise Highway. So it'll be a trip of about 8 miles today. Weather looks outstanding. I was going to do another hike at another location, but it was supposed to be in the mid-90s there, but daytime high here is only 72 degrees. I have a feeling it's going to be hotter than that because it's only 8:40 in the morning and it's already 68, so it might be a little warmer than that, but hey, either way, I'll take 68 or 72 over 95 any day. I'm also wearing the kilt today. I'm going to bring a special cooked set, so maybe I can heat up some lunch today. And yeah, I can already see down in the desert. We're going to get some spectacular views. So this ought to be a good trip. Anyway, I'll catch up with you in a few minutes when I arrive at the Big Laguna Trailhead right off Sunrise Highway. Anyway, stick around, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Take care. All right, well, here's the Laguna campground. We're going to be coming out. There's Foster's Point. That's the trail we're going to be coming out at over there on the left. Monument Peak is up ahead to my left. It's kind of ducked down behind the trees now. So we're going to be looking for the Big Pines, or Big Laguna Trailhead. It should be coming up here on the left here momentarily. It said it was only 5 minutes away, and I'm sure it's going to be coming up here pretty quick. I said the weather should be great today. Snakes might be out. I'm kind of hoping, actually. Snakes will be out. It's 66 degrees right now. And there's nobody behind me or in front of me. In fact, what's this? The sign says here, Horse Haven Campground. I saw that on the map, so we're getting really close. There is a dirt pull-out for the trailhead. I don't know if there's restrooms or a sign or a kiosk or something. I don't really know. There's a little pull-out right here. Let me see what this says. No, that's just a regular sign. That's not it. No stopping on pavement, so that's not it. So we'll go a little bit farther here. It's got to be getting really, really close. I think this is one of the major trailheads, so I would think there'd be a sign here. All right, what's this say here? What's this? This looks like it could very well be it right here. It was a big drop right here. All right. Let's see what this sign says. Big Laguna Trail. Well, there we go. We have arrived at the Big Laguna Trail. All right, let's go do our hike. Well, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. Today I'm out here in the Laguna Mountains Recreation Area, inland San Diego. And on that side of the street, which is S1, it's a Sunrise Highway, is the Cleveland National Forest. And once we get this way just a little bit, we're going to run into the Anza-Borrego Desert State Park.
And today we're going to be doing about an 8.5 mile loop. We're going to head up this way first. We're going to head up to Monument Peak, which has a great view overlooking Anza-Borrego Desert State Park, and some antennas, repeaters up there. It's kind of a nice high point. From there, we're going to double back down to the PCT. We're going to head north. We're going to go over to Foster's Point, which is about a mile away, I guess, 1.5 miles away, maybe 2. And from that spot is going to be another great viewpoint looking north and east in Anza-Borrego. And then we're going to work our way back down the PCT over to Sunrise Highway. Again, we're going to cross over. We're going to head west this time. And we're going to head through the Laguna campground, around the group campground. And we're going to go by the little Laguna Lake and then eventually the big Laguna Lake. And then we're going to work our way all the way back around to where we parked today at the big Laguna Trailhead. So that'll be a good adventure today. Weather looks like it's going to be great. It's going to be in the mid-70s, it looks like. Perfect day for a hike. Well, anyway, stick around and follow me up the trail to Monument Peak, Foster's Point, and the big and little Laguna Lakes here in the Cleveland National Forest. Well, as we're starting up the trail today, the start of the big Laguna Trail, you are going to have to listen to this today. This is the my sporin, the tassels on my sporin, so I apologize for that in advance. I'm hoping the snakes will be out today. Today would be a good day to see a rattlesnake. And since we're at a higher elevation, we might even see a king snake, maybe even a rosy boa, who knows. Anyway, let's head up toward Monument Peak, see what it looks like. You know, it would be nice to see something good today besides squirrels and birds. It would be nice to see a snake or maybe even a deer or a coyote, something. Since there's nobody at the trailhead, there's nobody here to disturb the animals except me. Up in this area of the Cleveland National Forest, there's all kinds of different pine cones. There's the ponderosa pine, like this one, has a medium-sized cone. And I don't know if you'll see it on the camera, it's got little tiny little like cactus spines, little points on the end. And the affectionate name for these are the prickly ponderosas. Well, I've just hiked a short ways up the trail here, and boy, the humidity is, it's got to be pushing pretty close to single digits. It's very, very dry here. You would think with all the moisture that we got over the last several months, it would have a higher humidity than this. And it doesn't. It's like bone dry right here. I can feel it on my skin, feel it on my lips. Definitely a chapstick day. And probably going to go through a lot more water than I imagined, but I brought ample water amount. I brought 2 1-liter bottles and about a 16-ounce bottle of hydration supplement. And of course, I brought an IPA. It's gorgeous up here though. I have a feeling I'm going to be the only one, at least on this section of trail, as I'm working my way up toward Monument Peak. Well, it looks like we've come to a trail split here, and a sign or two. And we have reached the Pacific Crest Trail. So Pacific Crest Trail is going to go left right here, heading northbound. But we're going to go this way, southbound on the PCT, and work our way up to Monument Peak, which is about where that white dome is on top of the hill over there. All right, well, I have split off from the Pacific Crest Trail, and now I've come out through the brush and hopefully no ticks, and I'm going to be working my way up toward the top of Monument Peak, which I thought was actually a lot further and higher than what I'm looking at. I know there's 2 parts to Monument, so this might be the lower section, I'm not sure. And it's pretty tight through here, so this is definitely an area I'll have to be careful for ticks. Well, I'm not too far from Monument Peak, and I'm working my way through the brush here, which I don't really like, because not only do I have to worry about ticks, I gotta worry about snakes. And I don't mind snakes, as long as they give me ample notice. And well, hopefully I'll be able to get up there and get a picture next to the benchmark. That'd be pretty cool. In the meantime, I gotta work my way through this narrowing trail on my way up to Monument. Hopefully this will open up at some point. Looks like it might right here. All right. Well, I'm plowing my way through the brush here, working my way up to Monument, which is right in front of me. And this manzanita is really thick. And I'm catching my pack on just about every branch. But believe it or not, somebody has done some maintenance up here, because can you only imagine what this would be if that hadn't been done? You wouldn't be able to get up here. And this is definitely tick check. And you can see it's a pretty cool peak behind me. I read some people that hiked up there, but it wasn't worth it. Well, looks like I've spit out a road here. This is probably Monument Peak Road. And below me is the lower pad. There's a couple of guys in trucks doing some work, probably in the trailer. Now I have the choice of staying on the road or hiking up the trail. What do you think? The trail looks a lot steeper, more narrow, but it might be more fun. Well, as I'm climbing my way up to the top of Monument Peak, I'll show you the view I have so far. That is the Anza-Borrego Desert down below us. As I'm working my way up this steep trail, we're going to get to the top of Monument here pretty soon. Hopefully I'll be able to work my way around the backside and get a better view. It's steep and it's hot. A lot hotter than I thought it'd be. Well, I finally made it up to the top of Monument Peak. Just a short scramble off the PCT. It's not too bad. There is some bushwhacking involved. I got a little souvenir to show for my troubles. But a bunch of radio towers, and what's great is this view we're going to see here in a minute off the backside. We have a tremendous view looking this way also to the west. I can see toward the ocean, but I can't see it because of the marine layer. But I can see Iron Mountain, and I can see Cuyamaca Peak, and Stevenson Peak is just to the south of me here. And we'll talk about that a little later, but some great views, crystal clear weather. It's a little hazy out toward the desert. I was kind of hoping to be a little clear, but we're going to go check that out right now. I have to admit, that's one of the cleanest outhouses I've seen in a long time. So we're going to go over here to the edge. We're going to get a great look down that direction toward Anza-Borrego here in a second. Well, this is our view off the top of Monument Peak. And we've got a great view looking out toward Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. A little bit of color down there. You can see the Salton Sea. It's in the haze. It's pretty large from this distance. And there's a guy in a truck driving up the hill behind me here. Well, it's funny, now that I'm at the top, the absolute real top of Monument, there are a ton of swallowtail butterflies up here. There's at least 5 or 6 I see flying around, including this friendly little guy. I'm going to go up here and see if I can find the benchmark. It's got to be up there somewhere on that rock, I would imagine. There's a bolt over there. And a big, oh, there's a can right there. My guess is that's the summit register. And while there might not be a benchmark, there is a pipe cap right there, or a nail, or a post of some kind. I got a picture of that. And what a tremendous view from up here. All from the top of Monument Peak. And that right there, sitting in the rock, besides the summit register, is a coulter pine. Well, this is the summit sign-in register for Monument Peak. So I'm going to take a minute here and sign this. This person was from Salem, Oregon. And they were up here just yesterday. I'll sign my name here. Put it back inside the can, save it for the next person that's coming up the top of Monument. Remember, I was talking about coulter pines. This is a coulter pine cone right here. This thing probably weighs 6 pounds. And you can see it's about a foot long, and it's got these super sharp points on the end. That's how you know it's coulter pine. I don't know what it's doing up here. I don't know why they hauled it up here, but there it is. Put it back in its spot. Now I'm gonna take a few pictures here of Monument. See if I can find another benchmark besides this pipe cap. Well, right now I'm at the top of Monument Peak here in the Laguna Mountains. I guess it's still Laguna Mountains. And there's a nice cool breeze up here. Temperature is about 75. And it's really dry up here. So if I can find a shady spot over by the tower, this might be a good location to take a few minute break, get rehydrated, maybe have a snack, and enjoy these tremendous views. I could see Gorgonio and San Jacinto, they still have snow on them. And I can see Stonewall Peak and Cuyamaca Peak in that direction, and Mount Stevenson that way. And pretty much all of the Salton Sea. It's pretty tremendous. Well, that really sucked. Coming down from Monument, I wasn't paying attention. I missed the spur trail to the left. And there's also a trail goes straight, which climbs up to the top of that peak over there. So you can probably see that little brown spot where that little trail goes through. And I got down there to the bottom of the valley, about ready to start working my way up. I go, I don't remember going up this way. So I checked my All Trails map, and sure enough, I missed it. And it's so thick of manzanita, there's no cross country there. So I had to climb all the way back up here. And now I'm working my way back down the trail again. It's not the day to be doing extra miles, it's too hot. But live and let learn, I guess. Thank God for the All Trails app. Well, this was where I got all the scratches. Because this manzanita is sharp. Even the points in places where it was snipped, it's still sharp. I just hope I don't lose anything off my pack, because I'm snagging on everything. I have a folding chair on the back that sticks out a little bit, plus my cook set and gloves and a few other things, spoon. So hopefully that was the end of the rough patch as I work my way back down to the PCT. Couldn't come soon enough. Well, I'm working my way northbound on the PCT. There was a bunch of thru hikers that were heading up the PCT that direction. We're heading over toward Foster's Point in the sun today. I'm definitely going to get some color today, I bet. I've got sunscreen. Well, I was kind of bummed just a few minutes ago. I saw something scurry across the trail, and I didn't get a good look at it, so I kind of bent over, and right on the edge of the trail was a really nice, big, mature horned lizard. And I set the camera over on the side, and I reached down, snatched him. I had him in my hand, and I brought him over to do some video work with him. And while I was turning the camera on, I happened to look down at my hand and opened it up just slightly, and bam, he jumped out and ran off the trail and into a hole. So I'm kind of bummed about that. Maybe I'll see another one. I just ran into a hiker just a few seconds ago who was just out on the trail for the day. He told me to look out for rattlesnakes. He's seen 2 on the trail, and I don't know where he's seen them at, whether it's on this section or another section. He says he's going to do the Big Laguna Loop. So he's basically doing the same thing I'm doing, just in a different direction. So hopefully I'll get a chance to see one before he strikes. I would like to see another horned lizard. That'd be cool. Well, I had to stop and take a break here. I was overheating a bit, and I had to get some hydration here. This isn't cold, but this is one of those body armor. This one is fruit punch. There's a nice cool breeze blowing up through the canyon here. I can see all the way back toward Monument that way. This is the only shade I've seen in an hour. So I'm taking advantage of it because it's getting hot. That's pretty good. Tastes like high C, I guess. Well, what I wanted to show you, since we're here, check this out. Here is your ponderosa pine, and this is your coulter pine. I said this bad boy weighs probably 6-7 pounds. And what a difference, huh? Between the two. Oh, that air feels good. I'm not hiking as fast as I thought I would. The trail coming down from Monument was actually not bad. Looks like I'm going to have to do some uphill climbing to get to Foster's Point. But when I get over there, that's probably where I'm going to take a little longer break. I don't know, we'll see. It's 11:45, so we'll see what time I stop for lunch. Not really hungry, so I don't think I'm going to stop for lunch here, but I am going to take advantage of the shade and get caught up on my hydration. Well, as I'm heading north on the PCT, I finally come to the side trail, which goes to Foster's Point. Foster Point. That's where I'm going to be heading next. As I swing to the right, you can see Monument over there, and then way over to the right is the top of Stevenson Peak. We're going to be heading out this way toward Foster Point. Well, I just took a side trail off of the PCT going northbound, and now I'm heading up to Foster's Point, which is right up here. I don't know how far this goes before you actually get to Foster's Point, but it's going to have a tremendous view overlooking Anza Borrego, and there's a little plaque, a monument of some kind. Just talked to a guy a second ago from Germany. I asked him how far he was going to go today. He said about another 18 miles. I said, wow, how far have you gone already? He said he started on the other side, about 4 miles on the other side of Mount Laguna. So he's looking at a 25-mile day plus. Good for him. He's young, he can handle it. Meantime, I got to get to Foster's Point. Well, it looks like Foster's Point is right up here. Now, Foster's Point supposedly is named after the original owners of a lodge that's to our left down toward the highway. And on top there is a indication of which peak is which. Cuyamaca Peak, Middle Peak, North Cuyamaca, all the way around. And we do have a great view. Looking north and east into Anza Borrego Desert State Park. From Foster's Point and looking south is Monument Peak up there, and then Stevenson Peak over there on the right. And there's butterflies on this peak as well. They're not the same, nonetheless they are pretty. I'm going to be heading back that way down toward the highway. I'm going to cross over and start working on the other part of my adventure around Big Lake and Little Lake Laguna. In the meantime, here's one more view from Foster's Point. Well, I made it out to Foster's Point out here in, I guess this must be Anza-Borrego Desert State Park, or it could be the Cleveland National Forest. I'm not sure because this is right at the dividing line. But this is a nice little monument for Foster's Point. And on top here, they've got directions and little viewpoints so you know what you're looking at, what peak you're looking at as you spin around. So it's pretty interesting. And I've got some huge birds over there. I don't know what those are. I don't know if those are eagles. They're not hawks because they're a lot bigger than that. But what you do have from up here at Foster's Point is a tremendous view looking not only toward Anza-Borrego, but along the Laguna Mountain Range. I can see Cuyamaca Peak over there and all of the Sunrise Highway. And it's just a stunning day out here. It's warm, but there's a cool breeze, so you can't ask for anything better. So I'm going to work my way back down to the highway to S1, cross over Sunrise Highway, and I'm going to start my adventure as I'm heading that direction to the west toward Big Laguna Lake and Little Laguna Lake. Maybe once I get into some trees, maybe I'll stop and take my lunch break over there.
I'm Harry.
I'm Sarah.
And where are you guys from?
We're from Australia, Melbourne, Australia.
Melbourne, all right, awesome. Well, you guys have a good trip on the PCT. Enjoy
Appreciate
your
it.
travels
Thank you.
through America. All righty, take care.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Love it.
Bye.
All the best.
All right, well, this is nuts. I was hiking down from Foster's Point, and I got down to the T, looked at the map, I went right, went a little ways, ran into some PCT thru hikers, and I looked at my map again. I noticed I was off. I was going the wrong direction. So turned around and hiked back to the Foster's Point Junction, ran into another set of PCT thru hikers. We looked at the map and they said, no, I was going the right way. I said, there really isn't anything the other way you were going. Thus I went all the way back to Monument. So I continued northbound on the PCT, good half mile, and I got down there a ways and I decided to stop and check my map again, and sure as shit, I was going the wrong way. So guess what? I had to go all the way back to Foster's Point, another half mile. And then when I got to that point, okay, well, it's got to be the other way. So I went the other way, about a quarter mile, and I looked at my map again. Never did see a trail junction. Looked down and I'd passed it again. So I don't know how the hell you keep passing the trail. There's no signs anywhere. So I hiked back, and then I was looking at the map, the All Trails map, and believe it or not, the trail that I wanted isn't marked. There's no really indication of it at all. And believe it or not, it was where I took the break and showed you the pine cones. It went right behind where I was standing. So now I'm on that trail, which isn't marked. There's no signs. There's not even that good of a trail, but I am heading directly right down toward the road now. So for all intents and purposes, this could very well be the Foster's Point Trail, I guess. I don't know. It's going to spit me out right on the road. Hopefully I'll be somewhere near the road that goes to the Laguna Mountain Campground, and I'll get into some more shade, I hope. In the meantime, I'm traveling down this, I guess it's a trail, I can't even tell. There's blowdowns everywhere. And this is just an idea of what I'm doing. I don't even know if I can even get through here. My pack's hanging up, my camera's hanging up. Believe it or not, this is my trail. can see that there's a part of a path here. But boy, not much, that's for sure. Man. Okay, well, if this is the Foster's Point Trail, I definitely don't recommend this. Because this is not fun. This hasn't been maintained in a while, it looks like. And there's blowdowns everywhere. The only thing that's a savior is I'm not that far from the road. Hopefully I'll be there in a few minutes and put an end to my misery here. Hopefully I don't get any more scratches and abrasions. I do have one on my other arm now. Looks like it might be opening up just a little bit. I'll take it. All right, well, I finally spit out of my mayhem back there, and I've come across this old abandoned building. It says Foster Lodge. It's kind of cool. Let's do a quick walk around the Foster Lodge. Looks like this is, I guess, is abandoned.
The Foster Lodge is along the old trail from the Laguna Meadows to Monument Peak. It's got some interesting history and a little bit of politics mixed in as well. You see, in 1927, the first and only lots were permitted to E.T. Guyman Sr. and E.T. Ned Guyman Jr., who built 2 summer home cabins. The extension of the Sunrise Highway in 1936 and 1937 severely affected the area, and no more lots were built beyond the permit of the Guymans. In 1951, Ned Guyman transferred the 2 cabins to the young San Diego chapter of the Sierra Club, and they named him the Guyman Lodge. And in 1968, the chapter built a small trail to a point just east of the lodge and named the overlook Point Foster in honor of the chapter founders Loris and Ivy Foster. In the 1970s, the Sierra Club became involved with several lawsuits over development of the Laguna Mountains and of the Forest Service's use of pesticides. Now, old Mr. Guyman didn't like the political climate at the Sierra Club, and he asked to have his name completely removed from the facility. The chapter then renamed the lodge after the Fosters. Well, it looks like nobody had been inside the Foster Lodge for years, and I only found this out later when I got home. The Sierra Club San Diego chapter has closed the Mount Laguna facility and declared the area off limits. Only those persons specifically authorized are allowed to enter the facility and grounds. Well, honestly, I didn't see any signs coming off the PCT, and I don't remember even seeing any on the highway turnoff.
Well, behind me is the Foster Lodge. Looks like it's maintained by the National Forest Service, but it looks like it's abandoned. I haven't checked any of the doors to see if they're locked, but it looks like, according to the property and the paint, no one's been here in years. I'm gonna have to do a little walk around the perimeter and see what I see. I did see a little plaque down here that kind of talks about it a little bit, but it's real small. It said it was donated by the Sierra Club. There's looks like a well or a sign or something over there. So I'm gonna take a few minutes, go scout around. Foster's Lodge here in the Laguna Mountains.
After checking out the Foster Lodge, I crossed Sunrise Highway and began hiking down the paved road toward the Laguna Mountain Campground, and the start of the second part of my adventure, the big and small Laguna Lakes and the meadows. A movement caught my eye just off the side of the road, way down in the trees and in the shade lying in the grass. It was a man, crouched over and wearing full forest camouflage with face paint. Then I saw a second person, also in camo with his back up against a large tree with a backpack. They saw me and glanced up.
All right, well, I got to tell you this little funny story. I guess it really isn't that funny, but crossed over the road, heading down to the Laguna Mountain Campground. fact, I'm almost at the check-in point here. As I'm walking down this road, I see two guys, full dress camis, face paint, whole big packs, the whole works. And they're sitting in the shade, this big oak tree just off the side of the road. So I stopped to chat. They both told me they were in the Navy doing land navigation training. And in fact, I'll show you here. That's where we are right now, at the Laguna campground. But the story gets funny because I was talking to them. I said, "Where are you guys based out of?" They said, "San Diego." I thought, huh. I go, "Yeah, my neighbor used to be a Navy SEAL. He was based out of Coronado." And I go, "You guys SEALs?" And they said, "Well, we're in training, doing the land navigation portion." And I asked if I could get a picture, maybe a short video, and he said, "No, for security reasons." Hey, I totally understand. I get that. And then about 10 seconds later, this van pulls up. And it's an unmarked solid gray van. And rolls down the windows, two guys, short hair, wearing baseball caps. One guy leans out the window toward me. I see his hat, Navy SEAL instructor. He looks over and he sees those guys. He says, "Get off the fucking road." Oh shit, those guys are in trouble. Those guys are in big trouble. I guess they were supposed to be doing checkpoints and they weren't supposed to be taking a break in the shade, especially inside off the highway. They're going to pay for that one. Well, behind me is the first lake in the Laguna Lakes. This is the small lake over here. I'm going to be on the Big Laguna Meadow Trail. So that's the small lake over here. And it's going to take me this way heading south where I'm going to run into the big lake. And they said it's kind of soupy and marshy over there. We'll see. What a gorgeous day. Well, this is one of the many meadows up here. There's something very large walking across the meadow over there. Assuming it's a coyote, but I don't know for sure. Just stopped. All right, well, just when you thought the day couldn't get any worse, I got 3/4 the way around the loop. I came to a trail closure sign. Trail closed to public use. Prescribed burn. And I did see 3 wildland firefighters in the meadow walking through, so it's not like I can cheat, you know what I mean? So, according to the map, I can work my way back to this road and kind of go around it. So I'm going to check the map again and see if there's a way to get through here. Well, this isn't fun at all. Because of the control burn area was closed to the public, so I had to work my way back toward the main campground, and then I saw on All Trails map another road that kind of circumvented it. Well, I don't know about the circumventing part because now I'm walking right through the middle of the burn zone. And luckily it's all burnt out, but I'm breathing in ash and soot. And I'm probably in a place where I'm not supposed to be. But the good thing is I can see the road down here now. Not the main road, just a side road, and hopefully that road goes back to Wacos Road, which leads me back to the Jeep. So I can only cross my fingers. I'll check the map again here in a second. And you know what's funny is I remember this gate when I camped here overnight. I remember that bathroom. I think that's campsite 95, 96, and 97. So I did see a few hikers going around the gate. So maybe that's what they were doing that day, finishing the loop. All right, well, this is turning into a nightmare. Now they have road closed due to Caltrans. A Caltrans truck Now there's 2 bulldozers, another Caltrans truck. So I'm on this side road. I don't even know what road it is. It's heading in the general direction I need to go. At first I thought I could hear the highway. I'm not that close. But at least this part's in the shade. You know, I haven't even had a break today. Haven't had lunch. I'm down probably a quart and a half of water. I'm dehydrated. This is uphill. When I get a little closer, I might stop. Well, thank God for the Jeep. As I gotta cross. Oh, here comes a car. Oh man. What started off as a good hike turned out to be quite the adventure. I couldn't go around the big Laguna Lake. They had it all closed for that prescribed burn. So I had to double back, and I got lost like 3 times. There's all kinds of trails and roads that go everywhere. All I can say is thank God for the All Trails app, man. Their map that I downloaded ahead of time. It'd still be out there right now. It's hot, sun's beating down on me, I'm dehydrated. I didn't get any breaks today, I didn't even stop for lunch. So what started off as a good hike ended up being kind of a shitty hike. But I guess everybody gets those every now and then. The good thing is, the Jeep's right behind the camera. I got a nice chest. Oh man, I cannot wait to get this pack off. Oh, today was kind of a nightmare. It was a tough hike, but today I'm drinking an Allagash Hop Reach IPA. Man, can't even hardly stand up. I have other things that are not alcoholic. As I spilled half this one. Must have got shaken up in the car. Man, it feels good to have something cold to drink. And can't wait to get in the car, get out of the sun. You know, some days you have shitty hikes, and this was kind of one of them. The first part up the monument was great. PCT was great. Foster's Point, that was good too. That scramble from Foster's, I got that in that hand, and that on that one, just from the man. There's no trail. The Foster's Lodge, that was kind of cool, even though it's abandoned pretty much. Running into the Navy SEALs, that was kind of neat. Watching them get in trouble, kind of felt bad for them for that. Ran into another one too, a solo guy. I told him too, stay off the road, man, they're looking for you. But I'll take a good 15, 20 minutes here, try to cool down a little bit, change out of the kilt, head home, maybe turn the air on the way home. The beer is really cold. The temperature is not that hot. It's probably 75, 73. But it's the sun, it just beats down on you, just relentless. And I might even take my shoes and socks off, drive home barefooted. I got a long drive too. It's an hour and a half from my house. So, well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Journal. Probably enjoyed it more than I did. Probably laughed at me as I was scratching through the brush. But hope you learned something. Hope you'll learn to keep a little closer tabs on your All Trails map. That's two in a row now where I kind of got a little, off track a little bit. So, but I hope you enjoyed the scenery. The Foster's thing was pretty cool. So, anyway, I'll catch up with you in the next edition of the Journal on another couple weeks or so. Anyway, got to finish my beer, and I've got a coconut water. That's really refreshing for me, and a Gatorade too, and a water. So I got plenty of liquids and plenty of snacks to eat on the way home, so I should be fine. All right, I am leaving the Big Laguna trailhead. Oh, my left calf is cramping up. Boy, what an adventure that was. My 8-mile hike ended up being a 12.1 mile hike. My easy hike down the trail from Foster's Point back down to Sunrise Highway, that was a manzanita-filled bushwhack all the way. Then once I got to the Laguna Meadows, Laguna Campground, that was, oh, there goes the Navy SEAL guys again. That was the supervisors, I guess. Once I got into the Laguna Campground, it was pretty, I guess, but it was, it's paved, and there's a lot of uphill in there. You don't believe that there is when you're in the car driving. You hike it, there is. Then when I get out to the meadow, I saw Little Laguna Lake, which wasn't bad. It's off in the distance and it's kind of flat, from where you're at, so you really don't get a good view. But once I got past that, I couldn't get around to the big lake. It was closed for the prescribed burn. Would have been nice if they would have had a sign somewhere that said, prescribed burn, trail is closed or something. But anyway, I'm heading home now. Got my refreshments in the car, got my snacks. This was a tough day. 8-mile day turned into a 12-mile day. And an hour-and-a-half drive home. I don't think I'm going to be coming up here again anytime soon. I mean, if you're going to car camp, you're going to stay here at the Laguna Campground and camp. Great spot. But to drive out here just for the day, to me, it wasn't worth it today. I got some pretty good views, I gotta admit, met some cool people, but the trail itself, the hike itself, wasn't worth it. Anyway, I'm going to enjoy the nice leisurely trip home with the windows rolled down, air up my pits, and get rehydrated because I am dehydrated big time. Anyway, I'll see you in the next edition of the journal. Take care, bye-bye.
Well, that'll do it for another edition of the Hiking Journal. My solo hike to the top of Monument Peak, Foster's Point, some bushwhacking, a reroute of the Big Laguna Trail, and my run-in with the Navy SEALs. Oh, and a burn closure order. Whew, what an adventure. Well, if you have any questions or comments about this or any other edition of the journal, drop me a comment below. Also, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button and tap that notification bell to get the latest updates to the channel as I post them. Now, we've got our Yosemite adventure coming up in a few weeks, and hopefully the valley floor won't be closed due to flooding. Just in case, we've got a few backup hikes in mind, and I'll keep you posted. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you down the trail. Bye-bye.